Craving the perfect holiday snack? Check out Farmer Bill's Biltong. Think beef jerky, but better. No sugar, no preservatives, just pure animal protein goodness. Crafted from premium grass-fed beef or bison and air-dried to perfection, Farmer Bill's Biltong is nutrient-packed, energy-dense, and perfect for an on-the-go treat or a standout snack for your next party. My favorite is the original bison, but the other flavors like the original beef, smokehouse, and spicy chili had me second-guessing that choice more than once. Visit FarmerBillsProvisions.com to grab a 1-pound slab or a variety pack and use code BIZBIT10 for 10% off. Farmer Bill's Biltong, don't be the 2-liter guy at this year's Christmas party.
It just makes the whole learning journey so much fun. We have a curriculum, we have concepts linked together, so users also don't have to figure out what to learn first, what to learn next. You literally just open the app, select a module, and everything's quite easy. One class takes 2 minutes to complete. So you can learn about one Bitcoin concept in just 2 to 3 minutes, right? You're on the go, you're on your way to work or college, or you're just eating your meal and there's one quick thing you want to learn.
Welcome to the Business Bitcoinization Show, the show dedicated to helping you enrich your life and grow your business with Bitcoin, the hardest money on planet Earth. I'm your host, Josh Friedemann, and our guest today is Sanjna Mehta, who is the co-founder of Yzer, an educational app focused on Bitcoin, finance, and economics. After studying at Warwick University, she completed her master's at the London School of Economics. She has tremendous experience working at fast-paced startups as well as large corporations, and she was the co-founder of the recently acquired BrowsPop. She's also been ranked second in Belgium in the game of badminton. I'm looking forward to sharing the conversation with you today, but of course, before we get to the interview, we do have this week's Bitcoin Meetup Spotlight, and even before that, wanted to give a quick shout out to those who have been supporting business Bitcoinization on Fountain in the past week. Thanks to God's Death, Borsen Galaber, and Farscapian for streaming sats to the podcast. And thank you to Torp Hoddle and Jim Wardley, too, who sent boosts. Torp sent 892 sats and said about the Sam Hastings hot sauce episode, so good, got a call for the paddles. And Jim Wardley sent a 98 sat boost with a thumbs up. Thank you so much to those who have been supporting on Fountain. If you would like to support the show, download the Fountain app. You can stream sats to this podcast or send boosts with comments and thoughts about the episode. Now, for this week's Bitcoin Meetup Spotlight, we have the Savannah Bitcoin Club. The Savannah Bitcoin Club is a high-signal Bitcoin meetup in Savannah, Georgia. They meet on the second Monday of every month in a laid-back, informal setting to discuss Bitcoin and a range of other topics. Currently, the meetup location is the Nest Rooftop Lounge at the Cotton Sale Hotel in downtown Savannah and starts at around 7. Their aim is to raise awareness in the area about Bitcoin, and they welcome anyone to join them, whether they're brand new to the space or have put in a lot of time in research. You can get more info on Twitter at SAVBTC or on their meetup page. Both those links are down below, along with a link to the Oshi app that you can use to find a Bitcoin meetup near you. Now, we're going to get to our interview with Sanjna right after this. Business owners, unlock the benefits Bitcoin has to offer your business with the Bitcoin for Business Quick Start Guide. This 27-page guide highlights the 6 ways you can grow your business with Bitcoin. Check it out in the show notes. Sanjna, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Josh. Thanks for having me.
So I'd like to start off every single interview with a few questions that help us to get to know you a little bit better and give us some insight for our own lives. So you ready for these?
Yes, ready.
When and how did you first learn about Bitcoin?
So I learned about Bitcoin in 2020, 2021, not too long ago. I'm quite new in the space. I was actually orange pilled by my partner. So he's been in the Bitcoin space for about, I'd say 7 to 8 years, not actively investing, but always had an interest, a passion, always thought about getting in. And then, the price just went higher and higher over time. And then he eventually got in and went down the rabbit hole. And now he's like a Bitcoin expert. So it took him about a year to orange pill me because initially, I just wasn't interested. I don't have a background in finance or economics or just technology in general. And when he was talking to me, it just sounded like gibberish. So I was like, this isn't for me. We'll see. Like I was in this whole marketing space. I launched my own brand in in the beauty space, it was direct to consumer brands. So actually, it's all about timing. Like we were working on that together, and we sold that business. It got acquired, and then I was finding the next thing to do. And then I actually had a look at Bitcoin. I was like, let me just learn it on my own terms. Let me go down the rabbit hole and just do my own research. And then I think within 10 days, 12 days, I was just sold on the idea. So yeah, I haven't been in the space too long, but I think once you're in, you go fully in.
What's an insight or fact about Bitcoin that you wish everyone understood?
So I wish people didn't misunderstand Bitcoin so much. I think there's so much fear, uncertainty, and doubt around Bitcoin in general, just because there's so much negativity on the news, and there's always these headlines that make the news saying, okay, Bitcoin is a scam, or Bitcoin is not good for the environment, or Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme. And none of that is true, right? But of course, everyone doesn't have the time to study and research. They're going to believe what they see on the internet or in the news or just on TV. So I wish people actually understood what Bitcoin was, and that it's solving a lot of the issues that the fiat system has, right? So the whole Ponzi scheme, or Bitcoin's only for criminals, or it uses up too much energy, that's actually problems that the fiat system sees, not what Bitcoin sees. So I wish people would just be able to understand that. And I wish there was just more positivity around around Bitcoin in general. I think it's getting better, but we've seen a lot of misconceptions around it in the past few years. So I definitely don't agree with that, and I'm not happy with that. But it just takes a little bit of studying.
What is the Bitcoin resource you most recommend to other people?
So I'm a big fan of the Bitcoin standard, Saifedean. Of course, he's famous in the Bitcoin space now. He's done some great work. It is a little more complex, but once you're into it, it's great because it's actually telling you the history about money. It's telling you about Austrian economics. Austrian economics is something I don't think anyone was ever taught about in school, right? We all learned the traditional economics, the Keynesian economics part of it, and I didn't even know what it was until Bitcoin came up, and I actually read his book. So I think it's so valuable to see the whole transition and how money has been created and how money has taken a role in society in the past few centuries, right? We've always believed that, okay, the US dollar is there and that's what exists and that's the most powerful currency. But no, we actually did live on a gold standard. We actually lived in a system that's more similar to Bitcoin in a lot of ways, not digitally, but just a lot of the properties that Bitcoin has, right? That's been evident in a lot of the money in history as well. So I think he explains that really nicely. And because he makes that explanation and transition so thorough and so effective, Bitcoin makes a lot more sense. So I think it's a great resource without having to push and promote Bitcoin so much, because you're actually understanding what the problem is and then why Bitcoin makes sense. So definitely a great resource for someone who wants to get, just deep into it. Of course, there's a lot of videos online. There's a lot of courses online. That there's Yzer, obviously, but this one just goes so in depth that I think if someone wants to really go down the rabbit hole, this is a great book to read first.
Question number 4 is this: beyond Bitcoin, what is a resource, tool, or idea that's been helpful to you or your business recently?
So I would say the concept of personalization. I think it applies to a lot of businesses, but especially a direct-to-consumer product like ours that's an app. It's just, we started off with zero personalization. We're integrating it more into the app and into the business now. We have so many plans for even more personalization, but you can really learn a lot about a customer and just all their data, right? Like not in a scary way or anything, but just knowing that, okay, this person wants to study Bitcoin. Why? Is it to get a job in the space? Is it just to manage their finances better? Is it just to understand and just have some more knowledge on it? And I think there's a whole learning journey that users take, and that's really adapted to what their eventual goal is. Again, geographically, all your demographics, your age, your gender, all of that just makes such a big difference in the way you learn, because when you have like 10,000 people, 20,000 people learning from one app, they all have such different backgrounds, such different goals. So it's like, would a 40-year-old, investor in the US want to learn Bitcoin in the same way as, an 18-year-old in India who doesn't have a bank account, or is just trying to figure out how to transfer their money from one country to another? So I think these demographics make a big difference, and I think personalization is the way to go. And I've seen it help a lot of businesses. It's not just about Bitcoin or an app. It's just it just makes the user stay on longer. It makes the user feel a lot more involved, and it just I think any product or service is just more close to heart when you're personalizing the whole experience for them.
And now we have our final, what we call our arbitrary but insightful question, and it's this. As a general life principle, is it better to ask why or why not?
As a Bitcoiner, I'd have to say why not? Because I think Bitcoin came about because we challenged the idea of what's happening right now, right? You're as saying why not, you're actually challenging the status quo. You're allowing room for innovation, allowing room for more ideas and thoughts and just changes that take place in society. So maybe we don't ask why not as much in society. We should ask it more, because that's actually challenging a lot of the problems, issues, current scenarios that we have right now in the world, right? And yeah, I really believe that Bitcoin and this new monetary system just came up because there were enough people to question why not. Definitely both great questions. I mean, we should be asking more of it and not shying away from it. But why not brings out a lot of new ideas, a lot of new innovation. That's what I believe.
Meet Linkster, your premier Bitcoin-focused advisor. Linkster caters to businesses, institutions, family offices, and high net worth individuals. They merge your unique financial goals and needs with Linkster's Bitcoin expertise to craft your own sustainable plan to preserve and grow the value of your hard-earned profits and retained earnings. At Linkster, it's not just advice, it's tailored execution. Connect directly with the founder by visiting linkster.com. That's LYNCSTER.com. Linkster. Secure your future with Bitcoin. Today's episode of Business Bitcoinization is proudly brought to you by Velis Commerce, where the future of business technology meets Bitcoin. As we journey through the era of Bitcoin and its transformational impact on businesses, there's one name that stands out: Velis Commerce. Whether you're looking to build a cutting-edge website, a seamless mobile app, or custom software, Velis is your go-to team. They've been diving deep into the world of Bitcoin since 2014, making them one of the most experienced groups for integrating Bitcoin and Lightning payments into a variety of digital platforms. But here's what truly sets them apart. Velis Commerce doesn't just build. They bring a wealth of knowledge to ensure your project's success from day one. Their team understands the nuances of Bitcoin, ensuring that your business stays ahead of the curve. And for all business Bitcoinization listeners out there, Velis Commerce is offering a free consultation to kickstart your project the right way. So if you're ready to future-proof your business in the coming age of hyper-Bitcoinization, head over to veliscommerce.com or reach out on Twitter at veliscommerce. Let's make sure your business thrives in the Bitcoin era. So, Sanjna, we're here today to talk about the Yzer app. This is your creation, or at least you're the co-creator of it. I'm excited to learn about it today. It's been referenced on this podcast before. People are talking about it online. I'd love to hear from you about what the Yzer app is and why you created it.
Yeah, sure. So Yzer is a mobile-first app that offers Bitcoin and financial education in the form of bite-sized classes. We are actually 5 co-founders, but we all have a very similar vision and mission. It was just about financially empowering the world, right? We all got into Bitcoin, went down the rabbit hole, just saw how great of a technology and money it is, and we wanted to orange pill the world. And I think we all saw education as the best way to orange pill people. It's something that still really lacks in the Bitcoin space, like great education, and even education just tailored to the newer generations, right? So today, does like an 18-year-old want to sit behind a computer, watch long YouTube videos that take like an hour to complete, not be social online? I mean, they're used to being social, whether it's physically or online. Get some kind of reward for instant gratification. So those are all the elements we've comprised into Yzer, and it just makes the whole learning journey so much fun, right? Like we have a curriculum, we have concepts linked together, so users also don't have to figure out what to learn first, what to learn next. It's you literally just open the app, select a module, and everything's quite easy. One class takes 2 minutes to complete, so you can learn about one Bitcoin concept in just 2 to 3 minutes, right? You're on the go, you're on your way to work or college, or you're just eating your meal, and there's one quick thing you want to learn. And I mean, I'm like 30 and I don't have an attention span of like 10 minutes anymore. You just want to learn something quickly and just grasp it and just be like, okay, I know what the blockchain is, or I know what a hash rate is, I know what a block is. Like that's what you want to be able to learn in just 2 minutes instead of compiling too much information in your head. So that's what we did, and we're super passionate about teaching people. I think the community really loves the product. They've been so helpful, so positive. So now we have a lot of products. We have a lot of features on the roadmap that we do want to implement. We obviously have such a big vision for where this can go, but our main goal is basically to just reach as many eyes globally as we can and just teach people about not only Bitcoin, but just financial literacy and financial empowerment in general, right? We want people to understand what Austrian economics is. We have a module just on that. Understand what inflation is, what interest rates are. You would think that everyone knows this and they're taught in school, but that it's not true. Like I don't think half the people actually know that inflation is bad, and the rate at which it's going up is it normal? Like this isn't good, because now that you know that Bitcoin exists, there is a better alternative. So we just want people to understand and know this. So that's our objective, and that's our aim, to just reach as many eyes as possible and yeah, hopefully make like a positive impact in the world.
So you were saying towards the beginning of the interview that when you were first being told about Bitcoin, what your partner was telling you sounded like gibberish to you. I'm wondering, can you point to that thing that kind of turned it from gibberish to finally making sense?
Yeah. So that again involves a lot of personalization. And I've said this like so many times, I think. So it sounds a little cliche now, but for me, it really is the social and humanitarian aspects of Bitcoin and what it offers, right? So maybe for him, it was the technology that really enticed him, and he's like, "Oh, this is really cool. This makes a lot of sense." For me, none of that made sense. For me, it was the fact that if someone in a country like India, Lebanon, Nigeria can get their bank accounts frozen overnight based on their caste, gender, age, where they come from, it didn't make sense, right? So if there was a tool to save all these people, for people to send remittances, for people to just really use their own money without a third party involved, that's what really hit me, and that made a lot of sense to me. So I think it's not even like, yeah, it's gibberish to a lot of people, but I think it's just hitting that point, because Bitcoin has so many positive features, but you really have to find the one that sticks to an individual, right? Like, again, it's just about hitting the right target group. So for me, Bitcoin might make sense in one way, but for you, it would make sense in another way. So that's what we're trying to do with Yzer, and really personalize it and just try to find what makes sense to what people. Like, there's a whole group of veterans, there's a whole group of people who are connected to the health part, or are actually in the yoga space, and Bitcoin makes a whole different sense to them. So I think it's just really finding that one liner that makes a lot of sense. Is it technology? Is it the financial empowerment? Is it just freedom in general? And that's why I think Bitcoin's so great, because it could make sense to everyone in the world in a different way completely.
And that is why I was asking that question, because I wanted to get to that personalization element. I'm curious to know, and you've spoken to this a little bit in the answer you just gave, but what are some of those insights that you've been able to pick up on based off of some of that personalization? I know you've only been around for a handful of months here, but have you been able to identify like what types of people respond to different things, or is it just too hard to see that clearly in the data at this point in time?
No, I think we are a little early in the space, but even then, just through like survey feedback and the community just helping us out, we have been able to see a pattern, and we have been able to see what different targets and just groups of people do like. So again, it comes down to the fact that I think I obviously don't want to sound biased and too generalized, but I think for women, and a lot of women that I have spoken to in the space, they're not interested in the technology part. Like I've done an interview with like a group podcast with like 40 women, and they're just so overwhelmed and so scared to learn about Bitcoin because it sounds so technologically advanced, right? So I told them, I said, I completely get that. And I think that's why we lack so much women in the space in general, because it's still not, we're still so early. And the way it's explained at conferences or even interviews or podcasts, it's always so complex and complicated. But Bitcoin doesn't have to be. It's actually a very simple technology. So yeah, I think when you're targeting women, especially, you have to target them in a way that hits home, and these are the women. I actually learned this from Tally Lindbergh, because I had her, I was on her podcast once, and she was also telling me that women are the ones who can actually orange pill the best. Like if you tell a woman about Bitcoin, she'll get her kids into the space, she'll get her girlfriends into the space. And we're not seeing a complete viral effect yet, because there's so many men in the space, right? But if you find that one reason that really hits home for a woman, I think the viral effect for mass adoption in Bitcoin would be immense.
One of the things that Yzer's doing right now is trying to scale, like any business, right? You have a free offer, the app's free to use, but you also have this paid offer. Could you share a little bit about those two offers, like what people can get if they download Yzer right now, sign up, start using the app, what's available to them? And then also, what are you building out at the paid level?
Yeah, of course. So our mission is to keep financial literacy free, right? That was our initial goal. We have 400 classes on the freemium version that anyone in the world who has an iOS, an Android can access, right? So all you need is an internet connection. So what we've seen from that is that to sustain the app, to obviously monetize a little bit, we had to introduce a subscription feature. But the subscription feature has actually been super valuable. It's a very new thing that we introduced. I think it's just about like 2 months old. But through the subscription, users actually get access to exclusive content. So the nicest thing that we do is live Bitcoin classes. So every week, we actually have a guest speaker who's invited to come to these sessions. We do it once a week for 45 to 60 minutes online. And our community gets to interact with these guest speakers, right? This is something that's so rare, because normally you'll see like big people on a podcast or an interview, but rarely do you get to interact with them directly and ask them questions and just have like a free flowing conversation with them. So we've had pretty big, interesting people on the space. Like we've had Arson from Relay, we've had Abu Bakar from Recursive Capital, we've had Scott and Tally Lindbergh, Smeet from Thea. We've had a lot of great speakers, and they've really enjoyed coming on as well, and just being able to be themselves and just talk, and not having to do like a sort of interview. So I think our community finds a lot of value there. We also release news bites every week. So these are normally bite-sized classes that are related to what's happening in Bitcoin and finance right now. So that's also super interesting, because these are normally long news articles online. Again, very complicated to understand. You need like a background on that. And we just explain this in 3 classes, very simplified, keeping in our mind that everyone's first language isn't English, that everyone's not an expert on the topic. And we really just try to explain it as easily as possible. And then there's a lot of features, but I'd say the third biggest one is just the gamification. So we're a gamified app, right? People enjoy the fact that you can earn XP, you can get day streaks, you can open up loot boxes. So we're just introducing a lot of new gamification features in the premium feature, in the subscription feature as well. And this is something that's ongoing, and that's just going to be more gamified over time.
Do people earn sats for anything on the paid version?
Not on the paid version yet. It's, again, something we're introducing, because when we have the classes, we don't have questions right now, but that's going to come in as well. I think people love the fact that they can earn sats, so we're going to reintroduce that. But we do like exclusive giveaways just for people in Bitcoin, right? So I think someone the other day got like a Bitbox 2 hard drive. Wow. That we did a giveaway for that. Someone got a giveaway with John Gordon, which was actually like a yoga lesson and a Bitcoin consultation. So there's definitely a lot of perks that they do get. And then sats are something we're going to introduce soon as well.
I think those types of things are great as well. I mean, there's so many people in the space that are offering great products, great services. And so being able to partner with someone who's doing that and providing that to people who are using the Yzer app is a really cool thing. So if someone's hopping on using the freemium version, what would you say are the places that you'd recommend people starting, the most valuable lessons, the lessons or the elements of the app that people have found most valuable?
Yeah, for sure. So we've got some nice data on this as well, but we'd say that, if you're new to Bitcoin, never heard anything about it, we have like the first 3 classes that introduce what Bitcoin is, why it matters. We actually have a class that's called First Things First. So instead of going way deep into Bitcoin and explaining the technicals, we just say why Bitcoin in one class. We are actually introducing videos in our app soon that would also help complete newbies just understand what inflation is, why Bitcoin makes sense. Again, targeting different groups of people. But it's funny because we don't have too much content on the financial market side. We do have more Bitcoin content right now, but I'd say that people are actually very interested in the Austrian economics and the traditional markets as well. So you do see this trend that people want to understand the history of money and what is money before diving straight into the blockchain or, again, the technicals of Bitcoin, right? Because we get a big range of people from beginners to experts. So of course the experts would go straight into, innovation, Lightning to deeper into Bitcoin. But a majority of the newer people, we see them actually wanting to start from the beginning and then completing the entire module. So they do tend to take their time and start with Austrian and just traditional financial markets.
Excellent. Well, the Yzer app's available for people who want to check it out. I'm curious if you have any final thoughts as we're wrapping up today's episode, things we haven't gotten a chance to talk about, things you want to make sure the listeners know before we finish up.
Yeah, again, I just think, take your time, study Bitcoin. It might not seem like it's for everyone right now, but it really is. And it's not something you can completely just push on people, but I would say just either download the app, read Saifedean's book, spend a few hours on the internet and just learn about Bitcoin and just see what it's all about. Just learn about what money is, and Bitcoin's going to make a lot of sense. It's not as hard as people think it is, or as hard as the media makes it seem out to be. It's actually a very simple and easy but complex technology where it can actually just change the world. It's great.
And where can people keep up with you and the Yzer app on social media?
Yeah, so we're quite active on Twitter and LinkedIn. I can send you the links later, but on Twitter, I'm on Sanjna_Connect. We also have a Telegram community where we're super active. Our community there loves to engage every day as well. We push a lot of updates just on content, what we're up to, a lot of insider information. So Telegram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, definitely. You can find us at Get Yzer or Sanjna. Yeah, my name's Sanjna _Connect.
Perfect. Sanjna, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Josh. It was great being on your podcast.
Well, friends, it's a wrap. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Business Bitcoinization Show. If you want to reach out to either me or Sanjna, you can find those links down in the show notes. And if you or someone you know wants to learn more about Bitcoin, check out the Yzer app. As always, keep building, keep growing, and until next time, keep living and leading well. If you're a regular listener of the podcast, thank you. If you want to take a further step in your support for the show, you can help us grow by listening on Fountain, a value-for-value podcast app on iOS or Android. If you hear something you like that you disagree with or anything else, you can share it by sending some sats and adding a comment with your thoughts. Some of you have already done this, and I appreciate it. I'm going to begin reading your boosts on upcoming episodes, so if you have some insight or value to add, let the people know. Getting started with Fountain is easy. You can add Bitcoin to your Fountain wallet by using your fiat accounts or any Lightning wallet. And one of my favorite features is that once you're using the app, you can earn sats just by listening on Fountain. Check out the link in the show notes to get started with Fountain today.